What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive into the news, of course, big shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a couple of different services, one of which is to use it as collateral for a Canadian or US dollar loan, and the second of which is a Bitcoin savings account where you can earn interest on your Bitcoin paid in Bitcoin. If you want to check out either of these, you can click the link down below. And actually, if you use that link and you decide to get a loan, then they will also credit your account with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin. And secondly, if you're into Bitcoin, then obviously privacy is important. One of the things I use is NordVPN. I've got it on my phone and on my computer. And essentially what it does is it helps hide your IP address, it encrypts your browsing data, and it also allows you to unlock geo-blocked content. So if you want to check that out, there's a link down below in the description, and that can get you a deal where it's only $3 a month. And with that, we're going to dive into the news. So Bitpay is obviously no stranger to controversy. If you're unfamiliar with them, they are a company that allows merchants to accept Bitcoin and auto-convert it to their local fiat currency or keep a portion of it in Bitcoin if they choose. Well, they were one of the major proponents of the SegWit 2X proposal, where essentially them and a number of other companies were going to fork Bitcoin, create a new coin, and install their own developers as the lead developers in the interest of scaling the network. This did not go over well, and the community by and large rejected it, and they were left to their own devices. They have also come under fire for misleading ways of representing Bitcoin fees. So anyways, essentially what has happened here is somebody went to make a $100,000 donation to a charity for the Amazon Rainforest because there's been a lot of fires down there, and they wanted to make this donation. It's called Amazon Watch is the charity. And what happened is BitPay actually blocked that payment from getting to the charity. And they said on social media that they'd be able to clear it up. Then they came back and said, actually, we can't clear it up. We're going to need your charity to actually send us a bunch of information about who you are, what you're doing, and so on and so forth. So they needed the charity to be compliant with everything. And the interesting thing about this is that BitPay is really not needed at this point. It was kind of a patchwork company to allow payment processing when it was necessary, but realistically, the whole point of Bitcoin is that peer-to-peer transactional nature of it and not needing a middleman. And BitPay is this kind of awkward middleman sitting there when a charity wants to accept Bitcoin and just accept it and directly from an individual. They don't need the permission of a payment processor like this. They could have accepted it directly if they had just provided a regular Bitcoin address to the donor, or they could have gone through an alternative, which would be something like BTC Pay Server. So Nicolas Dorier is a developer that saw some of BitPay's antics back in the day, caught them in a lie, and basically said he would make them obsolete. And he's since gone through on his promise, created BTC Pay Server, which is essentially a very easy setup for merchants to set, where there is zero middleman, and they can be their own payment processor, set it up as they like, and accept Bitcoin and Lightning Network payments. So if you are a merchant, or you know of a merchant that is accepting Bitcoin payments, perhaps through BitPay, maybe you can turn them on to BTC Pay Server as a more decentralized alternative. And to tag on to the BitPay controversy, this story dropped just as I was about to hit record, and they've put together a partnership with Blockchain, which is a wallet provider and soon to be an online exchange, which also was a major proponent of the SegWit 2X proposal, have failed to implement SegWit, which basically everybody else has at this point. It's up to 60% of all transactions are done through SegWit, which helps save on fees without having to do a hard fork to the network. And so I guess all I'll say about this little this little partnership here. And by the way, this partnership is really just a nothing burger. All that's happening is BitPay has a specific way of invoicing that essentially most Bitcoin wallets do not recognize. So if you have most Bitcoin wallets and you go to pay through a BitPay invoice, a lot of them just won't recognize it. They won't know what the hell the QR code is, and you have to use some sort of a decoder to decrypt it and let your wallet figure out what the hell's going on. Whereas blockchain has said, yeah, we're going to integrate that into our wallet so that we can read BitPay's bullshit. So all I'm going to say here is that these companies deserve each other. And one more plug for BTC Pay Server, so check that out. Let's move on. So this article is talking about the rising tensions around Facebook's Libra coin. If you're unfamiliar, Libra is meant to be a basket of fiat currencies or rather a cryptocurrency backed by a basket of fiat currencies like the dollar, the euro, the British pound, so on and so forth. And it's got a lot of major people, a lot of major companies backing it, MasterCard, Visa, Uber, just a ton of major, I guess, Silicon Valley companies and other payment processors that are behind it. However, they've gotten massive pushback from governments. The US has basically said, like, we want to put a halt on this until all the regulatory concerns are dealt with. Not only that, but the EU has moved to investigate the Libra Association over potential antitrust issues, like they would be too big. And apparently, 3 of the firms that have been backing the project to this point are looking at potentially leaving the project. Now, those firms have not been named, but there's a lot swirling the rumor mill right now. So not only that, but on the other side, apparently Facebook is getting pretty angry that none of the backers are sticking their neck out to vouch for the project, and they're just left sitting there in front of the Senate and all of these governments trying to, scrape by. My opinion here is that they just went way too ballsy, way too soon. Had they just come out and said, hey, we're going to do a stable coin pegged to the US dollar, and we're going to get some help from some other companies, and then started to introduce the basket idea later, they probably could have snuck by and Trojan horse themselves in. But they've basically said, we're going to create a free floating currency, kind of like the SDR, and it's going to be a basket of currencies. And governments are looking at that going, oh, this could undermine our local currency. This could undermine our central bank. And realistically, it could. I don't think that it would hold up in the long term, because I just think that Bitcoin as a base money will be better, but it did leave the possibility of this thing building some clout and people using it as opposed to their local currency, and Facebook and the Libra Association being able to swap in and out alternative currencies if they want. Imagine if they got rid of the pound or the euro and replaced it with Bitcoin, and all of a sudden you have this cabal of major corporations deciding what the reserve currency gets to be, at least for a time. So it's interesting. I think that we're beginning to see this thing crumble upon the weight of its own ambition, but time will tell, and it'll be interesting to watch. And one more story here. This one, couple of people from Canada, they essentially created a Twitter account that posed as a HitBTC. HitBTC, by the way, is an online exchange. They were posing as basically account help for HitBTC. They were customer service, and they were able to fish a bunch of information out of an individual from Oregon, and they actually were able to withdraw around $230,000 worth of Bitcoin from that person's account. Now, the problem is, well, number one, that's an asshole thing to do. But number two is how they executed the fraud. Okay, one, sure, they made the account, they fished information out, but where did they transfer the money to? to the guy's fucking Kraken account, which is associated with his name. You fucking dunce. What is wrong with you? Like it's has your name on it. What do you think? Oh my God. So anyways, obviously they got caught. Not only that, but one of the guys who did it traveled to the US after the fact and got picked up. Where was he? He was in Vegas, and he got picked up at the international airport on July 18th. The other guy is still at large, but he's somewhere in Canada, and I'm sure it's just a matter of time before he gets picked up. But you would think that people that are trying to scam people out of cryptocurrency, that are also privy to an online exchange like HitBTC, would at least have the knowledge to know that the Bitcoin blockchain is an open ledger and anybody can see where the transfer is going. And furthermore, that an account on a centralized exchange where you actually have to register for KYC, sending funds directly from a theft to your own account on that exchange, you'd think the person would realize that they would immediately be caught, but apparently not. And I mean, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be surprised given the scam story that I had last week, where I was able to milk $50 out of a scammer. But oh man, it never ceases to amaze me still. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I hope you found that funny. Oh, one other thing. I just ordered this. I'm super excited about it, actually. So this is a book called Bitcoin Billionaires, and this is a sequel. So if you guys have seen The Social Network, which is all about Mark Zuckerberg and the Winklevoss twins and the creation of Facebook, this is actually the follow-up book to that. So this guy wrote that book, which was called Accidental Billionaires, which then became a movie. And so this is the follow-up following the Winklevoss twins and what happened to them afterwards and how they became so big in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. So I haven't read it yet. It literally just arrived today, but I'm very excited to take a look at it. I hear it's really good. So yeah, I'll let you know when I finish it. But with that, I'm going to wrap up, you guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit like, subscribe, and share. Always hit share. I like to get lots of eyeballs on these videos if possible. And thanks to you that have been sharing it. I have noticed a little uptick in viewership the past couple of days, so kudos to you. If you'd like to help the show in another way, you can hit up either of the sponsors I mentioned before. That's Ledn and Nord. Those links are down below. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop me a Lightning Network tip at my tipin.me page. With that, I'm out. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you Monday for your daily session.